It's official, JLO and AROD have announced the end of their engagement. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have all the details on this sad split news, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I'm joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. Gabby, there is a lot to unpack here, so let's just dive right in. I'm sure you remember back in March, sources started reporting that they had broken up, that it was over, the end of J-Rod. We have already heard this, seen this headline before, but less than 24 hours after that news broke, they reassured us they were still together and that, they were a couple working things out. Gabby, it's clearly been quite a roller coaster. When you saw this news break for the second time, were you surprised? What do you make of this?
I definitely wasn't surprised because we've seen this happen before, like you were mentioning, and it was kind of on a rocky path toward probably ending this way. But I am certainly sad because I thought they were a really cute couple from the outside. It looked like everything was great. So it's always tough to see news like this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, JLo and AROD, they're both so A-list. They had such a beautiful blended family. I mean, there really was so much to love about them as a couple. So obviously, this is such sad news. Like I mentioned, when the rumors first started, they did make an announcement that they were working through some things. So at the time, they said, listen, it's not over yet. We're not broken up. But there are some issues, and they sort of brought that, to the public's knowledge. They made it clear that they were working things out. So now, I mean, sources have said that they gave it all they got. They really did, both of them, try to make it work. But they're now announcing that they have, behind closed doors, called off their engagement. They broke the news in a joint statement to Today. They announced, quote, "We have realized we are better as friends and look forward to remaining so. We will continue to work together and support each other on our shared businesses and projects. We wish the best for each other and one another's children. Out of respect for them, the only other comment we have to say is thank you to everyone who has sent kind words and support." So, very brief statement. Obviously, they weren't going to go into a lot of detail. They do have, kids to consider. Obviously, privacy is important at this time. But this to me, I mean, from the outside looking in, my heart just breaks because it does feel like this is going to be a difficult split. Their families are so intertwined, their businesses are so intertwined at this point. I mean, it really is such sad news.
It is. That's a great point. It's always tough with families when you blend them together in a new relationship because then the kids all become friends and they spend a lot of time together. So it's tough because hopefully they can maintain those relationships while also, working on the split and changing their lives a little bit now. And I also think because of quarantine, I remember seeing all those fun quarantine videos of JLo and AROD playing baseball in the backyard with the kids or dancing and all of that. So, especially this year when we've spent 24/7 with our close circle, I think it might be even tougher for them to make this split because it's going to be pretty abrupt and it's going to be tougher because it did seem like they wanted to try to make this work at least probably because of all those issues and all those hardships they're going to face now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, in their statement, they say that they figured out that they work better as friends. So it feels to me, again, just reading between the lines, like there probably is a lot of happiness still there. There's definitely probably a lot of positives that are still a part of this relationship. It's just accepting that perhaps those positives stem from, like they put it, a place of friendship and not necessarily romance at this point. And that's one of, in my opinion at least, just personally, like the hardest kind of splits, right? When there are a lot of good things still on the table, you just know in your gut that it's not 100% right anymore, can be so heartbreaking for everyone involved. Separate from the emotions of it all, Gabby, there are sources reporting right now to TMZ that JLo still has her 1.8 million engagement ring. I am sure we talked about that at the time, but $1.8 million is like a mind blowing number to me right now. According to TMZ sources, there have been just no discussion at this stage of the game as to what the fate of that ring is. Obviously, in any breakup, giving the ring back or deciding what to do with it is a complicated conversation, but I think when the number is $1.8 million, it obviously needs to be handled properly. Sources have added, though, that in the most JLO AROD A-list fashion, there has been so much exchange of jewelry, of really expensive watches that they have gifted each other with so much after all of these years of being together that honestly, to them, they may just be calling it a wash. This hasn't really been worked out yet. I just cannot get over $1.8 million engagement ring. They have to figure out what to do with it. There obviously going to be a lot of things to sort out, but this is kind of interesting when you think about it.
Definitely. I mean, that's a crazy number. I remember seeing the ring and thinking, oh, wow, that is quite the stunner. Of course, nothing less for JLo, but it is going to be tough because on the one hand, this is a gorgeous, very expensive ring. So it's like, does she keep it? Does she give it back or give it away? But at the same time, that ring meant that they were together and they were going to get married. So I feel like she wouldn't keep it because then if she ever looked at it or wore it again, it would just bring back, maybe not so great memories. So I think even though it's very expensive, she'll probably get rid of it or give it back or something because I mean, their lives are basically the same as ours, just kind of on a different level, right? So I feel like if someone bought a ring for a normal amount, they would probably also give it back just because of all the sentimental value tied to it. So I think it's sort of the same here. Even with Arod and the watches that she probably gave him, those might just bring back memories of them being together, and maybe they want that, or maybe they don't. I'm not really sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with all this jewelry.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because that's such a good point. I mean, when an ex gifts you something, it does become very sentimental. And it's hard to just be like, okay, well, you don't just be like, I like this ring. I'm just going to keep wearing my engagement ring. We've broken up, right? Like these are just sort of normal emotional parting when marriages or relationships end. Steps that people take. So it will be interesting to see what is the fate of all of these luxurious items. They were together for 4 years, so definitely a lengthy relationship. They got engaged in the Bahamas after 2 years together. JLo actually talked to Allure magazine earlier this year about their relationship. She opened up about having to postpone their wedding twice due to COVID and how obviously that took a toll. They sort of planned their dream wedding, had it all figured out, had this beautiful day planned, and then they had to postpone it, sort of figured out, okay, we're going to give it another go, and had to go through the heartbreak of postponing it again. So that definitely, I think, can take a toll on any couple. She also talked about how they went to couples therapy. She said she thought it was really helpful for them in their relationship. It's very interesting because at different moments over the past year or so, they have been candid about some of the hardships their relationship has faced, leading up to, of course, those rumors back in March that they were totally calling it quits. So to me, it feels like they were really, really committed to making this work. You can't say that they just sort of walked away, washed their hands of it, gave up. Like at different stages of the game, they've had to overcome different issues, overcome personal things behind the scenes. So I really do just have such high hopes at this point for their sake, for the family involved, that they are able to remain friends and at least have some semblance of a relationship, whether it's keeping some of those business junctures they have together, working and afloat, or just for the kids' sake, play dates, hanging out, things still sort of feeling normal. So obviously all of this is something we'll have to wait and sort of see how it unfolds. But I'm hopeful. I mean, how do you feel?
Yeah, me too. I think it's so interesting that they were planning their wedding and it got postponed because of COVID. It makes me think, what if, this didn't happen this year, the pandemic, would they have gotten married and would things have been a little bit different? But I definitely think everything happens for a reason. So maybe they weren't meant to be together and this sort of helped them along their way. Of course, them doing therapy is also great. Like you said, they really tried to make this relationship work. I also know not long ago there were those rumors that A-Rod was cheating or flirting with other women. So I'm wondering if that. I know he sort of denied a lot of that and it wasn't as big of a deal as people were making it, but I'm sure some of that really weighed on JLo, and led to them ending up making this decision. So it's really tough, but like you said, I'm hoping that they can come together and still be great business partners, friends, and all of that. And it sure seems like they're going to. Of course, this year has been very tough, but I'm definitely hopeful for them. And they are pretty much thriving in their careers. So I think we'll still be seeing awesome stuff coming from them no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally with you, Gabby. You guys, that's everything we know right now about the split. I'm sure in the days to come, we will get some more details as to what was going on behind the scenes and how we got to this point. In the meantime, we want to know how you guys are feeling. What do you make of this split news? Let us know down in the comments. And like I said, as more details come out, we're going to keep you posted. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.